Am I the a-hole for telling my stepkids that I no longer view them as my kids? I'm 36 female and my husband 42 male has 2 daughters who are 16 and 13. My husband and I have been together for 8 years. For some context, the girls have a mom who's just not active in their lives. She comes around once a year or every other year, stays for 2 to 3 months, and then leaves. The problem is when she comes to town, the girls change. For example, after their dad and I got married, they started calling me mom, as they felt I was their mom. But when their mom came back, they would stop and call her mom and push me to the side. I understood why they did that then, as they were young, confused, and trying to please her. We put them in therapy, and their therapist had them apologize and try to explain it. The next 2 times it happened, she told me to try and have a talk with them. Their mom decided not to come for the next 2 years, and it was a really peaceful 2 years. The kids were good, enjoying school, their new brother, and were just happy. This year, their mom decided to come. She came in August and stayed until about a week ago. This time when she came, the girls changed completely. It started with them not calling me mom, then saying disrespectful things to me and their dad, telling their brother they didn't like him and that he wasn't their real brother, and some other stuff. But the main thing they said that really hurt was that I wasn't their mom and never would be, that I'm a bad stepmom, and that their mom is their only mom. So last week when their mom left, they slowly tried to crawl back and started trying to call me mom again. I told them I didn't want them to call me that anymore. They looked shocked when I said that and asked why. I told them that they told me multiple times that I'm not their mom, that I'm a bad stepmom, and that their mom is their only mom. So I said I no longer view them as my kids. They looked hurt and went to tell their dad what was said, and he said it's between us. Their therapist thinks I was harsh, but I don't, as they are old enough to realize what's wrong to say and what's right. So, am I the a-hole? Note, I also want to add that I don't blame the younger one as much as I blame the older one, as she should know better. I understand things with parents are hard, but I was younger than her when I cut my father off, and he was similar to how their mom is. The rose-colored glasses should be faded or fading by now, as she's old enough to understand. It sounds like their mom is in their ear telling them stuff, probably lies about you and their dad. That's what it seems like is happening every time their mom shows up. They probably miss her and want her validation, so they listen to her. Yeah, that makes total sense. Kids soak up whatever they hear, especially from a parent they're craving attention from. It's heartbreaking but super common. I don't think it's necessarily lies, or else they wouldn't automatically try to make amends as soon as mom leaves. More likely mom is letting them know that treating OP like crap makes her happy. And these girls, desperate to please their absentee mom, oblige. I feel bad for them, but OP is right. The 16-year-old is definitely old enough to know better. Having said all that, I do think OP was a little harsh, unless she wants to shut down the prospect of ever returning to a mother-daughter dynamic, in which case, well done. Info: when their mother is around and they treat you like this, where is their father in that? And what are you both saying while they're doing that behavior? It reads as if this is the first time you've ever laid out the inevitable consequence of being treated like this, and you're enforcing it straight up, which is an a-hole move. But the response of your husband that this is between you is a complete abdication of his responsibility here. Everyone sucks here, but I'm leaning toward the hierarchy of a-holes being 1. Your husband, 2. You, 3. The 16-year-old, and the 13-year-old is just following what her mother and sister want. But congratulations, you've proved the ex right. I'd guess she alienates them from you by telling them that you're not there for them unconditionally, and well, that's true. When they're doing that behavior, he will punish them and take their stuff away. This is not the first time I've made consequences for them doing this stuff. Just last time, it was less extreme, as what they said then was less extreme. Your girls need to understand everyone, even parents, have feelings that can be hurt. My take is, you need to navigate this, because you're stuck with these mean girls, and you are their parent. I wouldn't want them calling me mom either, because you don't treat your mom that way. But we all know they're being influenced by bio-mom, and you need to be the bigger person in this situation. Be the positive influence on them, but set those boundaries as to how you will accept being treated. Also, kick your husband in the rear. Next story. Am I the a-hole because I won't tell my wife what my son, her stepson, has in savings from my late wife? My wife and I, both in our 40s, have a blended family. I have a 16-year-old son with my late wife. My wife has a 13-year-old daughter and a 12-year-old son with her ex-husband, and they share custody. We have a 4 and a 2-year-old together. When my late wife was sick, she told me she wanted a percentage of the compensation she was issued for her medical misdiagnosis to go to our son's savings. She also had a second savings account she wanted to add to it. This was on top of what the two of us had saved for him before her illness. I honored her wishes, and I continued saving for our son's future. This is a promise I made to my late wife that I have stood by. I also promised I would protect it and make sure it was only ever for him, nobody else. When my present wife and I started seriously dating, we talked about what saving would look like for our kids if or when we married. She knew I had always saved, as had my late wife. We didn't discuss how much either of us had saved for our existing kids, but we agreed to an amount every month that would be saved for all three. And this was talked about again when we had children together. Recently, there has been a lot of stress on my wife. Her ex has refused to discuss my stepkid's savings and whether he pays anything or not. She also feels like we haven't been able to save enough every month as promised because it's been just one thing after another. There are months we've missed because of things beyond our control. Life stuff mostly, like things breaking, etc. A few weeks ago, my wife told me we should put all the cards on the table and discuss what all 5 kids have and decide how we proceed with making sure everyone gets what they need for the future. I told her I would happily discuss what I have saved for my oldest, but I would not be discussing the money left by his mom. She pushed back on it and said all the money should be taken into consideration. I told her we don't know what all the money is. I said our parents could be saving money for the kids' futures. Her ex could have money for my stepkids. His parents could have money for my stepkids. We can't say for certain what everyone will have at the end, and it's only fair to discuss what she and I have and can save. She told me it sounds like I don't trust her. I responded by asking why she wants to know this so badly. By only talking about what we've saved, we're on even footing. She told me if we knew everything, we could focus a little more on the kids who will have less. She said our younger two are probably going to be the worst off long term, and that she would be open to combining all the money and dividing it. I told her I was not on board with that, and what my son has from his mom is not going to be shared or used for any of the other kids. We argued about it, but I refused to say. She feels like that's wrong when we're married. I told her it's not my money, nor is it her money, or money that we can or should be accessing. It's from my late wife to our son, and that's all there is to it. My wife said she feels like I'm keeping her in the dark and not trusting her with something important. She said it cuts her ability to fully engage in conversations we need to be able to have and decisions we need to make as a couple. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. It's your son's money. It's from his mother. Full stop. End of story. 4 out of your 5 kids have 2 parents. Your wife sounds like she doesn't understand fairness. Not the a-hole. You need to make sure that she cannot legally access that money should something happen to you. A trustee or some other arrangement. The moment she had said combine and divide, every alarm bell should have gone off. That money was never meant to be shared among all the kids. It was a promise between you and your late wife. Get a trustee as soon as possible. Question: if you died today, who would be the guardian of your son? Would the way the money is set up now be disclosed or accessible to her in the event of your death? Is this something you're okay with? Is she a parent to your eldest, or just the wife of his dad? If you trust her to take care of your eldest in the case of your death, there's no reason to keep this information from her while you're alive. But since he's close to being 18, that's maybe unnecessary. If you don't want this to be accessible to her in the event of your death, and how it's currently set up would make it so, then you need to fix that ASAP so she will not access it. My son's maternal grandparents would be his guardians if I died today. My parents would be next in line after them, and there are 2 others after them if something were to happen. My wife would not be my son's guardian and would not gain access to the money if I died. I can't help but wonder if she's done some digging and found a bank statement or something, and feels like that money saved there should be divided among them all, including her. Stick to your guns here and keep a close eye on your wife. It sounds like she may be the type to start treating your son poorly because of this situation, and it wouldn't shock me if she started trying to guilt him into splitting the money or accessing it for her. Money does weird things to people. Protect your son and yourself. Also, OP, please make sure you have an updated will and that the executor is not your wife or a member of her family. Your wife is about to steal from your elder son, and make sure she doesn't guilt trip your son for anything. Talk to your son. Last story. Am I the a-hole for being a reason my dad's family turned against him after I already decided to stop going to his house? My parents are divorced. My mom and dad shared custody of me, 16 female, and my brother, 19 male, since the divorce. My brother aged out of a custody plan, but I hadn't. Still, I decided about 3 months ago that I was done with my dad and wanted to stay with my mom all the time. My mom checked with her lawyer, and he said it would be fine, so I stopped going to my dad's house, so long as I don't block his number or anything until I'm 18. I guess people will be asking what it's all about. So it's a few things. For years, Dad has had an hour spot with me and a different hour spot with my brother, somewhere he took us for one-on-one time. He said he would never take me to his and my brother's spot and would never take my brother to mine and his spot. He said there are so many places in the world, and he wanted us to each have something just for us, something unique and special. We liked it at the time, and we still had things the three of us did together. When I was 12, my dad got married again. I knew his new stepdaughter from school. She's a bully, although she wasn't my bully exactly, but she didn't like me either. We met when we were 10, and she was the new girl. I had started to befriend her, but she was a huge jerk to my friends and other kids at school. When I stood up to her, she turned on me for not having her back. She said I was supposed to be on her side and pick her over my other friends. We didn't like each other after that, and her list of people she bullied got longer. I was never really on that list. We just glared at each other, and she would tell me to F off a lot because I'd tell her to leave my friends alone. I hated when Dad became her stepdad. He knew about the issues between us, and he said we'd learn to love each other. He started spending more time with her, found their hour spot, and tried to be the dad she didn't have. When he realized she had no friends at school or anywhere, he tried to get me to be her friend, and I was upset and hurt that he'd ask me to do that, knowing what she was like. His wife said she was my family now, and that I should prioritize her over some childhood friends that would never last. I refused, and Dad and I fought. My stepdad's daughter and I really didn't get along when I was at Dad's house. She loved to gloat that she lived with him all the time, and that they were getting closer than he and I could ever be. I really didn't like her, and I told Dad I felt like he betrayed me by trying to be her dad when he knew how she treated other people, and that she didn't like me for defending others against her. He told me once he married her mom, he had to be there for her, and that we should all try to pull together as a family. There were times when we fought where he came in and took her side, and he asked me to give her a break because she had no one and I had all these friends. Then after they'd been married for about 2 years, my dad asked me to speak to my cousins and get them to give her a chance. Several of my cousins on his side go to school with us and know all about her. They ignored and excluded her at family stuff. I said no to what Dad asked, and he got really mad at me. I cried, and he told me to please just show what a great girl I am, and I told him he liked her more anyway. I meant it when I said it too, because it felt like he took her side over mine every time he got involved. The rest of the time, he stayed out of it. The last few years have been more of the same stuff. I cry. I hate this girl more and more. I wish her dad would come back and take her away, or I wish someone would turn around and bully her back and chase her mom away with her, because her mom doesn't care how she treats others. I reached the point where I wasn't willing to do anything to be nice, helpful, civil, or anything that would make it look like I thought she was a good person. And then my dad started taking her to our spot. She told me so fast after they'd been there like 5 times. And all 5 times, she had proof to show me. I lost my cool. I told her I hated her and called her a bully and a bitch and a monster and all kinds of stuff. My dad and his wife heard it all go down, and my dad tried to make me stop. But I said she should do everything she's told other kids in school to do, and I'll celebrate then because she's the one who deserves it. Then I told my dad he wasn't my dad anymore, and that at least he had another daughter. He told me I needed to calm down and not lash out like that. I said he ruined our spot. He was a liar. He betrayed me for her, and I said that was where I could never forgive him. Because I hated her. I wished she didn't exist, and I wished she'd get the heck out of my life. Dad said taking her there wasn't meant to hurt me, that he was sorry, and that he'd stop. That he was still my dad, and he loved all three of us the same. I said I didn't want a dad who could love her. I told him my feelings didn't matter to him, only hers did, and he didn't take her to his and my brother's spot, just mine, even though he knew how much I hated her, and how much she hated me. And then I stopped going. My dad tried to change that, but I really am 100% done with him. But then his side of my extended family asked some questions about what happened, and I told them. And with my cousins, who had seen and known so much about what Dad's stepdaughter was like, they took my side. They turned against Dad and told him and his wife that her daughter wasn't getting money for college or anything from my grandparents, and my grandparents saved some money for all of us for college or future stuff. They said she was not family, called her names, and told Dad he should be ashamed of himself for picking someone over either of his real kids. My dad called and cried about it in a voice message because I didn't answer, and his wife called 3 times on his phone and left 3 voice messages, where she basically yelled and called me names for turning the family against them when I already chose my mom's house. She said my dad was heartbroken and none of this was on him. It was all me. My mom sent those on to her lawyer in case we need to go back to court. But the whole thing is quiet right now and mostly settled again. I just think about it sometimes, and I feel so glad the rest of my family chose me when he didn't. But am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. There's a good reason why that girl has no friends. Which is exactly why father's side of family can't stand her, especially since cousins who are around same age and go same school as OP and Bully saw and experienced why she has no friends. Not the a-hole. OP's father did sided with a bully, he only reaping consequences of the harm he himself did to OP, while ignoring the why of everyone in his side of the family, plus the whole student body rightfully hates his stepdaughter. Not the a-hole. Your dad betrayed your trust and took her to y'all's spot that was meant for the 2 of you. It'll be hard, but you'll have to gut it out until you're 18 and then go no contact. I'm sorry you have such a crappy father who prioritizes a bully over his daughter, but karma is catching up to him real quick. It's so hard to keep him unblocked right now. Muting him helps some, but once I can be no contact, I think everything will be so much easier, and I won't have to stress about hearing him cry or his wife yell down the phone at me again.